Most people think growth means doing more marketing, more hiring, more tools, more complexity. But at some point, more stops working. And what actually creates scale is leverage. And today's conversation is for anyone who feels like their business is getting heavier instead of lighter as it grows. But before I bring on my guest, and welcome to this episode. My name is Shri, and I'm a social media manager. My team and I help medical and law practices grow by using social media, video, live streaming, and more. If you are looking to get more visibility to your practice, make sure you reach out to us. My guest today is Travis, and he is a mechanical engineering by training, an MBA, and the founder of Momenta Tech, where he builds systems that help businesses grow revenue without growing overhead. If you've ever felt like your team is working harder, but the business isn't moving faster, this conversation is for you. So let's bring on Travis. Travis, let me ask you, now that it's January and everybody's excited about something, what's one thing that you look forward to seeing in 2026?
I always love the new year. So, not to step too much into the resolutions and all the cliches about new year, new me, it is a great time to really reset. As a busy business owner, love the downtime and love really seeing, what's ahead of us. So, I'm fresh off my quarterly meeting yesterday or my yearly meeting with the team. So, really energized to see what this year is going to hold in store for ourselves and our business.
I would like to ask the same questions. If you're catching this episode right now, share in the comments what's something that you're looking forward to in 2026. And if you're catching the replay or the podcast episode, which is going up tomorrow, what is something you're looking forward to in 2026? And personally, I am looking forward to how far I can grow my YouTube channel. I am at 85 subscribers and I want to grow it to 10,000. So I'm putting it out there that I want to grow this channel to 10,000. I know it's possible because I know people who've grown their channel to 1 million in 3 months, and I know people who've grown their channel within you know, a whole year and able to get 100,000. So I want to say hi to uh, username Penendro Dejo 5.2. Hey, hey. So let's get into this conversation. Hey, thanks for joining in. And I want to say that anybody who's joining in on the conversation from YouTube, this is Travis, and we're going to learn about leveraging, scaling, doing what we need to. So if you're thinking about starting a business, or if you're thinking about how this guy might be able to help me, just give him a chance to answer some questions, and then you can come in with yours. So let me start with this. You started in mechanical engineering and technical leadership. What did that world teach you about systems that most entrepreneurs completely miss?
Yeah, great question. So it is a lot about defining the problem that's ahead of you, splitting that up into small measurable parts, and then really walking through each step of that solution. Sometimes that can't be done, right? So sometimes it's a little bit more ambiguous, but nonetheless, there's always a lot of benefit to working methodically and slowly to a solution.
When you say thinking methodically, what does that mean to you? Because it methodically looks different for a lot of people.
So when I use that term, I mean methodically toward a solution. So it's one thing to think methodically about you brought up growing your YouTube channel. And so you can think methodically about that forever, but without actually putting things out and testing it and seeing like, oh, this works, this didn't. So the quicker you can iterate on your experiments, the better off you are. So I can say I've done that a lot over my 8 now years of being an entrepreneur, and there are a lot of things that didn't work. And the quicker you can methodically say that's not good and move on, the better off you'll be.
So I want to say hi to, we have let me get in here, Zachary, and you've got some letters behind you. I want to say hi to you. So now that we kind of understand, you take action, then you look at what are the results and you figure out what's working and what's not. So my next question is, what was that moment when you realized the entrepreneurial itch wasn't about freedom, it was about building leverage?
Yeah, so I'll say the first business I started was a side business. I tried to quench my thirst by being an entrepreneur by having a little side business. It was a DJ business, right? So I got up to the point where I was DJing 50 events a night, or 50 events a night, maybe not 50 events a year, and started bringing on more DJs. And that's where I really saw the benefits of staying at home and having a quiet night in, and then still being able to make a good chunk of change through that. And that was really the first inclination I saw where, hey, I could take this and apply some of the mechanical engineering world that I lived in, kind of mesh those two and see where things go.
I'm just typing in the comments here on YouTube, and for some reason on LinkedIn, it's not showing, but we're not going to focus on the stuff that doesn't work. We're going to focus on the stuff that is working. And I'm just letting everybody know, hey, if you have questions, just ask Travis. I mean, he's got this business, but you know what? You may be wondering, what is his business? So, Travis, tell us a little bit about what it is that you created once you figured out you wanted to start your own business. What is it
Right.
that you do, and how do you help clients?
Yeah. So great question. So many people, myself included, are accidental entrepreneurs. For myself, I got laid off, and I got to the point where I'd worked for a few different folks that had trouble financially, and it wasn't the best situation. And so I said, hey, this is a chance for me to sell my services back into the market. And took a hard look at what I'm good at and started selling consulting services, basically helping people implement software. Then people ask for more. Hey, can you build this software? Hey, can we, now that you built this website, can you provide marketing? So a lot of what I learned was really following the needs of the marketplace. And to any of those aspiring entrepreneurs out there, if you can really look at what folks need, you can then couch a solution and be able to deliver that. And especially in the beginning, what I encourage every prospective entrepreneur, find a couple core clients that really understand you deeply, that believe in you as a human being, not just what you're able to deliver, and use those clients to get more and more. And then eventually you're able to systemize your business more as time moves on.
What you bring up, you brought up a lot, but one thing that you brought up is something that a lot of people struggle with. It's easy to put posts and go out there and meet people, but we get scared to ask.
Right.
Or can you give a recommendation? Or can you know, do you know anybody? So, what are some things that you help your current clients to help them get more clients, and then in return, how do you get your own? Your
Yeah. So I call it a flywheel. So what you want to do is you want to do such good work for the clients that it's repeatable, it's predictable, and that they easily just keep asking you for solutions to more problems. And so what's helped my business over time is referral partners, less from a revenue perspective, but more from a solutions solving perspective. Commonly, I'll get inquiries, hey, what do I do about this problem? What kind of accounting software should I use? I'm looking for a shipping person. And so the more that you can be useful to folks without any expectation in return, the better your payoff will be long term.
So you're helping your clients, you're doing above and beyond, and then you're also asking for the, hey, you know somebody who needs my services, and
Right.
then you're helping them do the same thing. But let me ask you, how many of you, I want to ask this in the audience because this question, I know some of us have felt that. How many of you have been let down by bad customer service, or maybe you had a bad experience? Because as a business owner, we know that this is going to happen. We have to plan for it. I want to ask you, how do you help? First, what do you do when it comes to a bad experience? Whether it's you fell short on a client or something didn't go as planned as the client thought.
So honesty is always the best policy, and call, basically coping to your mistakes. Hey, we didn't deliver like we said we would. You're not going to make money on every client. So sometimes refunds are in order. There's been times where a client felt we underperformed and I felt we didn't, but it doesn't matter. They felt that way. So that to me becomes a degree of reality. Okay, here's your money back, right? Like if you don't want to do business with us. And so we've always kept that as one of our core values. And I do want to talk about that briefly. Core values are very important for a business, whether you explicitly state them or whether you internalize them and make sure your team knows. So our core values are client centricity, total ownership, courageous, and craftsmanship. So taken together, whenever we reach decisions that are sometimes, or we have decision points that are a little ambiguous, it always helps us think like, okay, does this meet the fact that we want to be courageous? Earlier, you asked about walking through fear and what that looks like. And the quote, everything that you want's on the other side of fear comes to mind, right? Because until you put those reps in and you actually go out and you knock on the door or you make the call, you're not going to know what's going to happen. There's a lot of amazing opportunities I've had that came just because I asked or just because I picked up the phone or sent the email or made the LinkedIn connection.
You brought up really key points, and I'm gonna, if anybody's taking notes here, whether you're catching the live or the replay, have some core values. What are your core values? Not every client fits it, and it's okay. And it's okay to say no. Like you just know you're not gonna. Sometimes you just know after experience that you're never gonna make them happy. But go back to your core values. To talk, communicate. If something doesn't work out, it's okay to say, you know what, we recognize the problem. And what does sorry mean? What does that look like? It's not just saying I'm sorry, but what does that mean? Does that mean you're going to give a credit? Does it mean that you're going to refund them? Are you going to go the extra mile? What does that look like? And then what lastly said, and that is just, at least in what I heard, is that don't give up, because there are going to be roadblocks along the way, and don't get don't be stuck at the roadblock. Look at it as a learning lesson. So you say if it doesn't create leverage, we don't build it. How do you define leverage in a business context?
Yeah, so that's a value of myself, uh, or I should say the firm in a broader sense. When we look at new projects, when we look at the capabilities, and so anytime that you get commissioned to build a project or implement software or anything, you want to see something on the other side of that. You want to be able, hey, we deployed the software, so we made this return. And too often you'll see projects that don't really make sense. It comes back to the client centricity part of things. I've built a lot of software over the years. My team has built a lot of software. And what we'll see is a client will request software and they'll say like, hey, it's a $150,000 project. And you can look at it pretty quickly and say, okay, like, are we sure that these different elements are really going to work? I think you can get away with a $15,000 build, test it out, see how it works. And then if it works well, then we go enterprise. So, however, so as that pertains to leverage, like we would never recommend to a client to build something that they're not gaining more value by implementing it.
I love that you brought that up, because too many times, especially when you're starting out, you feel like I have to get every client. I know for doctors, you want every patient, but after a while which insurance companies just aren't the best to work with. After a while, which kind of clientele, meaning you understand how much do they make? What is if they're a single founder, solopreneur, meaning they're just one person, you understand certain things about the client. That's nothing wrong with that. But then you realize these are the people I want to work with, and these are the people I don't want to work with. And then I love that you also brought up, hey, you think it's going to be this much, but what I see is this, because I know a few people who went in and wanted to build a platform.
Right.
They asked for the bells and the whistles, and it made me wonder, did the other person on the other side say something?
Right.
So let me ask you, how do you, when you have a difficult client who's like, no, I want the bells and whistles, how do you navigate that conversation? Because that comes to crucial conversations.
And so I believe too, when a client insists on something that maybe is illogical, that gives me a little bit of frame into the way of thinking that that client has. And so now I will say I've never had a client say like, I insist on paying 3x what you're recommending. Typically, the client will listen and accept that response. But I believe a lot of times early cues are there. We just want to ignore it sometimes. I'll
Mm.
say an example with a client that we had that, we do some work through Upwork for clients. Part of my agency does that. And the client, I looked at the reviews and I was like, they're like a 4.1, which is pretty low rating on Upwork. But, the guy seemed personable, so I took the job. Come to find out, it was a disaster to work with that individual. So, a lot of times we see those early warning signs, we just choose to drive through it because we believe like, "Oh, it's worth the pain." And the more times that you get, punched in the face, frankly, is the more that you're gonna say like, "Well, maybe it's not. Maybe we'll wait, something better will come in due time."
I I wanted to go back and say when you were talking about the more reps, the just you're gonna get punched in the face. It brought me back to my first interview that I did, which is crazy in 2020.
Mhm.
And I remember how many times I was punched in the face with I asked the wrong question or
Right.
fumbled. And then I look back now, I do fumble and I do make mistakes, but it just looks different.
Yeah.
I don't sweat as much. I used to lose a lot of weight because I was so nervous. But now it's a different story. So I know when you start a business or even individuals who are just kind of adding to their schedule, where do you see that most often? I want to focus on entrepreneurs confuse activity with progress.
Oh, yeah. So I believe a lot of it would be what I would call public perception, like feeling like you have to put your name out there, you have to have a website, you have to have a logo, you have to have all these things. But what you need more than anything is a client. And I've made those mistakes in the past. I uh, at one point in, I would say around 2017, I had a wearable idea that I pitched a lot of cash into with no user validation and just kind of a complicated go to market. So, what I always coach entrepreneurs is just get a few clients that can pay for most of your life, and then you're geared up to be able to take other bets, right? That make sense for you longer term.
I would even go a little bit, just a little bit. So there are many videos here on YouTube, even on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram. You can learn how to make a basic, and you can use Canva or another website, which is free, and just make a basic landing page. Just what
Right,
did you do and how can you book a call? And you will find that that is enough. When I think about when I started, I didn't have a lot. I only had a Calendly, and that's how I didn't even have a logo. My
right,
creative director came up, had the logo maybe like 3 years ago. He's always had the logo for me. I just didn't know it was my logo, but he's always had my brand kit, which is the colors and all of that. But in the beginning, I wasn't thinking about that. I was really just thinking about, okay, how do I get people to notice me? I understood a little bit about colors, but the branding that you see didn't happen until 3 years later. So if you're thinking about, oh, when I start, I need to have XYZ, how about you just and start with the LinkedIn.
right,
LinkedIn can be your landing page, your banner, make it what is it that you do, the result that you give, and give them a call to action. Your headline, tell them what it is that you do. Not I'm a father, I'm a daughter, I'm a this. Just say we help you stream your business. And we've
right.
worked with X number, or if you haven't worked with anybody, just say looking for 3 people, beta program, and then you go to your about section. Don't write it in a third party, write it in first party, meaning like I, not we. And then if you need some direction about what I'm talking about in an example, you can go to Travis's or mine profile and you can see, and that can be your landing page. For a few years, I used my LinkedIn page as a landing page.
Sure, absolutely nothing wrong with that. And some of the most successful entrepreneurs I met did not have the glitzy, type of landing page. Now, it matters, of course, what business you're in, right? If you're doing highbrow marketing for fashion, your stuff has probably got to look pretty slick. If you're a freelance carpenter that's looking to bring in some money on the weekends, you're a lot better served by just reaching out to folks. Hey, who do you know? What can I build you? Whatever that looks like. And one thing I'm a fan of too is focusing on one channel, right? Like don't try to, for instance, myself, I spend most of my time on LinkedIn socially. That's where my ICP, my ideal clients are. So that's where I spend my time, like propagating messages, responding to messages, and things of that nature.
When you brought up the carpenter, I was like, you should be on TikTok. Show us how you
Yeah,
build. If
yeah,
you're
that's
in
a great
fashion,
point.
show us your pictures. And that's Instagram.
And that's a great point. Technology today has really allowed us to propagate our reach, and a lot of times people don't really lean into their unique attributes, right? Like because it feels different, it feels weird, and we all know that success looks different. Success is not just copying the same thing that's out there time and time again. So you never know where that road will take you.
Mm. Now it gets me to start thinking, what is something that you wish you knew before you started your journey as an entrepreneur?
I think sometimes you have to create almost an alter ego for yourself. For myself, I tend to be a little bit reserved in the sense of once you get to know me, I'll be very outgoing. But what doesn't happen is, my default state is not to ask people to buy my product. So what I would rather do is sit around and build a product. Well, that's okay. But you know what's a lot better is asking people and then making money on that transaction. And so, those who will ask will receive in return. And so if you're not actually creating this, like I call it the alter ego, because the alter ego for me is, hey, I'm Travis Ziebro, the sales guy. I lean more into that DJ side of me where it's like, we're going to rock this thing. And so I have to consciously jump over my introverted engineering self sometimes and really lean hard into that identity.
That's really good stuff there. Like that alter ego.
Yeah.
Because it can be hard. You will want to say to yourself, you suck. Why did you make that mistake? Because as entrepreneurs, you got to take a little bit of risk. And you're
Yeah.
gonna make mistakes, but that's okay because that's just part of the process. That's part of the
Well,
journey.
and I would also say that you will make more mistakes than the average person. That's just the
Oh,
nature of it. When you're an entrepreneur, you will knock on the wrong door. You'll call the wrong people. You'll build the wrong product. You will do so many things incorrectly. So if you have in your heart of like, oh, I want to minimize my mistakes, like that not only is not going to allow you to grow, like you just won't be able to reap the rewards that you get from that experience.
ooh, that reminds me of my first year. I was like, I want to be careful. Now I'm like, okay, I kind of understand what happens if I go down that route, but it's up to me if I want to because I've already been there before. So I may not go that way.
Right. Absolutely.
I want to make sure that those who didn't catch it the first time, we catch it again. Let us know, how can we connect? Well, I know I didn't ask this. How do we connect with you? And then what type of businesses do you tend to really work with so they can we make sure that they reach out to you?
Yeah, so we build mainly products inside the industrial space, and one of the ways Shri and I met is we have a specific product that's definitely grown legs outside of that. It's called Convoy Sage. It does visitor identification for clients that are coming to your site, and so that's one of those really nice to have products that can help with the follow up and can help with the conversations and can start those conversations that we've been talking about that really are the spark to get your sales movement going. So,
And then what's the best way to connect with you?
so my name, travisziebro.com. Just check me out there. That has links to all the different products that we offer. So check that out. And yeah, that website as well. Those both go to the same spot. The Industrial Tech Guy, Travis Ziebro. There you have it. So thank you so much.
I mean, that was the one that I found. I think that that's what I used, and
That's
I
what
even
yeah.
Googled you. I Googled you too, and that's what came up. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to take what I find, and if you are looking for growing your business, looking and seeing that if Travis is the guy for you, make sure you reach out to him, ask him the questions. If you are not sure if you can even work with him, ask the question because you never know. What's the worst he's going to say? Yes. I
I
know people say
I
no,
would always,
but yes, he would say, yes, I can work with you.
well, I have a particular passion for anyone that has the boldness to step out and start their own business. So anyone who wants to contact me and just has questions about the process, love to hear from you, and I'll tell you a million things I did wrong, and hopefully you can glean a little wisdom from that.
Well, there you have it. I just want to say thank you to everybody who joined in on the conversation, whether it was live or you're catching the replay or hearing the podcast episode. I really appreciate you. And I want to say thank you to Travis. He is my last guest for a period of time because we're going to now change the podcast to where it's going to be just me and I'm going to sharing my journey, tips and tricks and more on the podcast. But I just want to say thank you to everybody who's joined in and thank you, Travis. And
Thank you so much, Shane.
until the next episode, everyone, bye.
Bye.